It's official, Yoshinobu Yamamoto is a Los Angeles Dodger. He signed a massive 12-year, $325 million deal to go to Chavez Ravine and try and push the Dodgers towards another World Series title. People clown on them for their ability to get bounced in the playoffs and only winning a championship, just like the Lakers during the pandemic-shortened season. So now they're going all in, over $1 billion spent this offseason to win a championship, and they got arguably the best true starting pitcher in the market in Yoshinobu Yamamoto. This deal might have the biggest ripple effect of all of free agency, and that's including Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani had a couple suitors simply because the price tag was so big, but Yamamoto was a little bit more reasonable, and that got a lot of teams interested. The Mets, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Phillies, the list goes on and on of teams that were interested in getting Yamamoto's services. Now, free agency opens up. What's Blake Snell going to get? What are all these other huge pitcher names that haven't really had a lot of traction behind them because people were waiting to see what Yamamoto did? What's going to happen with them? You can also look at someone like Framber Valdez, where some rumors are starting to swirl around. Corbin Burns, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, a lot of names that are very interesting that could get dealt now that Yamamoto has officially signed with the Dodgers. This also has huge ripple effects on Japanese baseball and the influence that Japanese players have in the US and back home in Japan. It's no doubt that Shohei Ohtani is probably the best player that we've seen this generation and maybe all time if he can keep this pace up. And Yamamoto is probably the best pitcher Japan has to offer. You can argue Roki Sasaki's up there as well, but he's definitely a top 2 pitcher in all of Japanese baseball. And now they're both playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers. That influence is huge, and it's going to be a huge marketing driving force, and part of the reason why the Dodgers spent over $1 billion with a B. You need to realize how much money that is on 2 players that they're really hoping will push them towards a championship. There's obviously been a lot of content out there about Yamamoto, so I want to go all in. I want to give you his scouting report, what he means for the Dodgers, what he could mean for other teams going forward, what his contract entails, and how this is going to shape the future of Major League Baseball. He's still technically a prospect. You'll see him on MLB Pipeline's Top 100 list when they release in a little bit, and I wouldn't be shocked when Baseball America and Fangraphs update as well that he'll be right there near the top. We'll examine all of those factors in this video if you stick around and watch. Before we do that though, that baseball in the bottom right corner will allow you to subscribe to the channel, and there's a link in the description below as well. It'll give you more awesome baseball content, not only from me, but from other really great content creators out there as well, and fill your timeline on the updated stuff that's going around in the game we love. Without further ado, let's dive headfirst into Yoshinobu Yamamoto with the Dodgers and see what that means for not only Major League Baseball, but baseball around the world. I have no doubt that Yamamoto is going to slide directly into the rotation for the Dodgers, and barring a signing of Clayton Kershaw and just giving him the veterans bump, I think it's a very high likelihood that he makes the opening day start for the Dodgers. We saw back in 2018 that MLB Pipeline ranked Ohtani as the #1 prospect in all of baseball, and that paves the pathway for Yamamoto to also be included on this list. It makes sense. He's eligible for Rookie of the Year, and he hasn't pitched an inning in Major League Baseball. He's, by all intents and purposes, a prospect. So before we dive into prospect rankings, let's go and set the stage. Who is Yoshinobu Yamamoto? Why is he such a highly touted player? And how is he going to fit into Major League Baseball's landscape? Before we even touch on his stuff, let's just look at some of his accolades. He was a gold medalist in the Tokyo Olympics. He won the World Baseball Classic with Japan. He hit over 7 seasons with the Oryx Buffaloes in NPB, posted a 1.82 ERA, and put together probably the best stretch a pitcher has ever seen in MLB or NPB from 2021 to 2023. In those years, he won 3 Sawamura Awards, which is basically the Cy Young Award in the NPB, and also won 3 straight MVP awards. Think about that. How often does a pitcher win MVP in baseball? Not often. You can think of the past 10 years, it's really only been Kershaw and Verlander. You're telling me that Yamamoto, a starting pitcher, won 3 straight? That just goes to show you how impressive he is and why he's such a dominant pitcher and why so many people are excited about him to come over to the United States. Although he only won 1 championship in his 7 years in the NPB back in 2022 with the Buffaloes, he has put together a very impressive career. He's the only pitcher in Japanese history to have 2 seasons where he pitched a no-hitter back-to-back, and he won the Fighting Spirit Award back in 2021, which is the MVP of the losing team in the Japan series. In the 2023 Japan series, he was going up against the Hanshin Tigers in Game 6, where the Buffaloes were facing elimination, and spun a phenomenal performance, saving the Buffaloes from elimination. But unfortunately, in Game 7, former Dodger and Oakland A's Sheldon Neuse came in clutch and secured the victory for the Hanshin Tigers. Yamamoto was a key reason why the Buffaloes made it that far, and although they couldn't come through at the end. The fact they made 3 straight Japan series, mostly on the back of Yamamoto, just goes to show you his potential and why he is such a good player. Now to get to what he actually does on the mound, the reason why he's so exciting is because he has 4+ pitches and plus control. That combination is unheard of. Very rarely do you have someone with more than 3+ pitches, and very rarely do they have plus control to go along with it. You'd think of guys who have a wipeout pitch. Chris Sale and his slider is a great example. Sale was a great pitcher, obviously hampered by injuries, but he didn't have that perfect mix, and although he had some good control, it wasn't anything to write home about. Yamamoto has good control and 4 pitches that are better than average. His fastball is probably the pitch he can locate best. It can hit about 99 miles an hour, but tends to sit closer to 95, and is something that he can go and place exactly where he wants it. That ability is going to fare very well in Major League Baseball. The fastball is on the rise. Velocity is hard to hit. There was a whole discussion with Brent Rooker about it earlier this year. That fastball is going to be a very big reason why he's going to be an effective starter in Major League Baseball. He's only 5'10", 176, so the fact that he has that velocity is only a good sign, and it's not like the strength and conditioning from Japan to the US is different, if at all. So I wouldn't expect that to take up when he comes over to the US, but maybe there's something the Dodgers can find. The Dodgers are a great developmental organization to really refine his arsenal and maximize what he has. He's pitched 170 innings or more the past 3 seasons in NPB and has a clean bill of health. With that in consideration, he should be fine going to MLB. Yes, the adjustment from going from a week-long break to a 5-day rotation is going to be a bit of an adjustment, as it is for most Japanese pitchers, but if anyone can handle it, it will probably be Yamamoto. He also has the ability to be a bulk pitcher. In Game 6 of the Japan series, he threw 138 pitches, and when he pitched in the 9th inning, his fastball reached 98 miles an hour. He has what's left in the tank to be an amazing pitcher, and I wouldn't expect that to go away anytime soon. His next best pitch is by far his splitter. It sits around 90 miles an hour, and it has a huge drop. It tunnels really well with the fastball, which makes it very deceptive for hitters, and they end up tweaking over it a lot of times. It makes a lot of weak contact, a lot of soft ground balls, a lot of swings and misses, and that is a great, effective second pitch. The splitter's kind of gone away in American baseball, but it's still pretty popular over in Japan, so I'm really interested to see how this is going to play in MLB. Baseball players in MLB generally don't have a lot of experience with the splitter because a lot of Americans don't throw it that often, so we'll see exactly how that will play into what happens with Yamamoto in the future. Some evaluators are really excited about his curveball. I'm a little less so, and I'll get to that in a second, but it's a very good curveball. Big looping actions, what you call a rainbow curve. It has a lot of ability to just freeze a hitter. It's outside the zone, then all of a sudden, boom, it's in the strike zone, down the middle for a strike. They didn't swing, back to the bench. The curveball has somewhat become out of favor in Major League Baseball today. It's getting thrown less and less. So I don't know how that's going to play when he reaches the major leagues, but there are some evaluators that think this is going to be his best pitch potentially and could be something that can really get people off guard. It is an amazing pitch, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discount that in any way. It is one of the better curveballs you're going to find out there, especially in this free agent market. I just don't know how it's going to play in Major League Baseball when the curveball seems to be going away. I'm not saying it's a bad pitch or it's something that he should keep not using a lot because he didn't throw it a ton in Japan. But I just don't see it being something he's going to use a ton in Major League Baseball. I see that usage rate about the same, while some other evaluators see it being used a little more often. He also has a slider that sits around the low 90s. Probably his worst pitch. It's still a plus pitch, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that's super exciting. It's really good at missing barrels, but it also does induce a decent amount of contact. The Dodgers have been one of the teams that have really pushed the sweeper as one of their new pitches, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them try and adjust his slider to be a little more sweeper-like. Right now, it sits more like a cutter or a shorter slider, and I think they would really like to see that sweeper come into effect, be an even better pitch. Again, his slider is a good pitch, don't get me wrong. It is something that will strike out a lot of guys, will make a lot of weak contact, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Dodgers try and tinker with his repertoire a little bit, try and maximize what they can get out of their new star ace acquisition. Finally, we can talk about his command. I've already touched on it a little bit with his fastball, but he can place any pitch basically wherever he wants. Obviously, with off-speed stuff, it's a little harder to go ahead and actually make that happen because you have so much movement on the ball, but he still has better control than a lot of people, and there's no doubt in my mind his floor is maybe a third guy in the rotation. He's that good. He's that much of a can't-miss prospect. This channel, I pride myself on talking about the future of baseball, and the prospects have a lot to do with that. Unfortunately, the start of the offseason really is a slow time in terms of seeing exactly where players fall. Most places haven't fully updated their prospect lists. MLB Pipeline is a notorious offender of this. They haven't updated since August, and they don't update before the MLB trade deadline as well. Baseball America generally does a better job of this, but they're still a little bit outdated. There are a couple rankings that will definitely change when they do update now. I'm looking at the top 8 right now, and it's fairly obvious that there's some players like Wyatt Langford who will get the boost up and a couple players who will make the fall down. With that being said, there's a couple lock-in names for the top 3 prospects in Major League Baseball: Jackson Holliday, Jackson Chourio, and Wyatt Langford. Those 3 names are right now the cream of the crop, and I'm going to be making a video on all 3 of them soon, determining who actually is the number 1 prospect. One could argue that right below them is Yamamoto. There's a couple ways you could debate about it. Is Paul Skeens, who is one of the best pitching prospects in 10 years since most likely Steven Strasburg, the guy that you want to have as your number 1 pitching prospect? You can go for it. But there's a serious argument to be made that Yamamoto is the best pitching prospect in all of baseball, and he might be the number 4 prospect, if not maybe up higher at number 3 if you really value the immediacy that he brings to an MLB team. Granted, Jackson Chourio just signed a huge 8-year, $82 million deal with the Brewers, so he will probably be making his Major League debut potentially as early as opening day 2024. And Wyatt Langford and Jackson Holliday are quickly knocking on the door to the major leagues as well. They both have a little bit lower shot, but still have the possibility of making the opening day roster in 2024. So those prospects are definitely close to making their Major League debut, but Yamamoto is a sensational player. To have a pitcher with the repertoire he has and the clean bill of health, there's no doubt in my mind that he is going to be a top 5 prospect when you look at these rankings coming out in a couple months. Generally, MLB Pipeline won't rank international signings unless they are a minor league contract, which most international free agents are, but people from Japan and Korea generally aren't. Ohtani was a bit of an exception because he did sign a minor league contract, but I still like to view these players as prospects because you have players who end up not making it. Shohei Ohtani was a great example. He was a big signing by the Reds, 3 years, $33 million, and he really did not perform well. For all intents and purposes, although he signed a major league contract, he was a prospect. You don't know if he's going to be successful, and although I don't think there's many doubts about Yamamoto's abilities, there's still that slight chance. We can look at the projected opening day rotation of the Dodgers just to see exactly where Yamamoto fits in. Fangraphs has him slotted in as the opening day starter with the newly acquired Tyler Glasnow in the second hole and Walker Buehler the third starting pitcher. If you told me Glasnow and Buehler were 2 and 3 in a rotation, that is a team that I would be scared to face. Buehler is a free agent after 2023, which is a little unfortunate for Dodger fans, but you have a very stacked rotation, and their pitching depth is immaculate. The Dodgers also have a stacked farm system. Michael Grove is a very good pitcher who has the potential to be a solid starting pitcher going forward. Gavin Stone is a former top 100 prospect, while Nick Frasso, Landon Knack, and Kyle Hurt were all in the top 20 prospects in the Dodgers system. They all have a ton of options. Grove and Stone both have 2, Frasso, Knack, and Hurt all have 3. There's a lot of potential for the next couple years for these players to go up and down. You also look at River Ryan, who in my opinion is a top 5 prospect in the Dodgers system, who isn't on the 40-man yet, which is why his name is white on this Fangraph screenshot. He needs to be added before the Rule 5 draft in 2024, but he absolutely will be, and I wouldn't be shocked to see him make his Major League debut sometime in 2024 for the Dodgers. That's all before we even consider the fact that Shohei Ohtani is still trying to pitch. Yes, he's out pitching-wise for all of 2024, but what does that change? He is a dominant pitcher. He's arguably a top 20 pitcher at very worst in Major League Baseball when he pitches, and the Dodgers are getting that for the next 9 years. That's scary. When you look at their roster up and down with Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and a ton of other really talented people, the Dodgers have to be the favorite to win the World Series this year and next year and the year after that. They have a super team right now, and no offense to the Yankees or any other team out there, but they are the team to beat. It's going to be really interesting to see exactly what the Dodgers do, but Yamamoto is a big part of that. Not only do they rule the Major League Baseball world, but all influence in Japan is focused right now on the Dodgers. This is a huge money-making opportunity as well, and as much as I hate incorporating money into these videos, you have to talk about it. The Dodgers are set up for success both domestically and abroad with this signing, and they are now the World Series favorites, if they weren't already, in 2024. And in my opinion, you can lock them in as favorites for 2025 and 2026. Beyond that, you get into a lot of speculation, but for right now, they are a force to be reckoned with. Yamamoto is someone who a lot of people expected to sign for just under $200 million. Charlie Olive is a great example of that, and a lot of insiders agreed with that as well. It was only as time went on that people realized this guy's going to make a lot of money, and the Ohtani signing really just illuminated that. This was a great year to be a free agent as a hitter, and he got a huge payday. He has 2 opt-outs, and he got a $50 million signing bonus, plus another $50 million heading back to the Oryx Buffaloes as a posting fee, so he made out very well. He has a chance to make even more money as he goes and gets more sponsorships, probably does commercials with Shohei Ohtani, which will be a huge draw to a lot of Japanese audiences as well. And if he can become a household name like he already has for a lot of not-so-casual baseball fans, we'll see exactly where he ends up in the future. I see superstar status. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. There's going to be 2 videos on your screen. Hit them both if you're interested in watching those, and the baseball right there in the middle, or the link in the description to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next video.